what is your opinion on cryptic solutions?
Um, I think if there are obvious solutions, or even like semi non-obvious solutions, cryptic solutions are okay. I think that having some stuff that's cryptic, not unclear, unclear and cryptic are two different things.
Hmm.
If it says like, so like, let's say there's a mechanic you learned in the game, um, and uh it's like, okay, you've been using this, but you get into a boss fight and you're super fixated on your usual boss rhythm, and this boss looks impervious. It has no metal plating sticking up. It's just covered head to toe, and this thing is definitely not going to be phased by your little sword. But then you remember earlier in the game that walls with cracks in them um can be broken. And then you notice that the boss has a charge attack. So you try standing in front of a wall. He hits the wall. Oh, he cracks it. Oh, if it has a crack in it, I can break it. And those sorts of solutions, I think that's okay.
Hmm.
I think because there's putting tools in the game that can let the solution present itself feels very much like the puzzle game Eureka moment, which is what a lot of people say is like, when you're designing a puzzle game, you have to have good Eureka moments where someone's looking at a puzzle for a long time. Eureka! I figured it out.
What about
uh,
on the original Dark Souls, where you had to, like, the original release of the PS3, and the reason why I'm making that distinction is because when you balled up into the nest in Firelink Shrine, I think it took what 20 seconds for it to
yeah,
finally,
about 15 to 20, maybe even 30 seconds.
and then it was reduced in the remaster. So what about stuff like that? Because there anything that tells you to sit there and wait?
Um, I think that, yeah, I think that one is kind of getting into, as some people call it, Legend of Zelda territory,
Mm-hmm.
where in like the original Legend of Zelda, you had to drop bombs against every single wall to find the path behind which the entire rest of the game lies down. And it's like, how are you supposed to know? Oh, just drop bombs on walls. The game teaches you can do that. Okay, but not like that. There's nothing directing me. There was nothing telling you, hey, there's a wall that I heard was a little unstable outside of town. Interesting. Absolutely nothing. And yeah, no, I think that Dark Souls would have been better served if there was an NPC that mentioned, there's a bird making its, that bird that you flew in on is making its nest up there. How peculiar. I've always wondered if I could go up to that nest and curl up like a ball. Would it treat me like one of its eggs? Guess I would have to wait a long time to find out. Something like that. It's still cryptic. It's like, okay, maybe this guy is just talking crazy. Oh, of course, ending with because all Dark Souls NPCs have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And um, something like that, where it's like it's an organic in-game way to hint at, hey, maybe check this out. But yeah, I do think that one is a little bit on just that is there's no clarity. Like, you're doing all the right things, and it's just nothing's happening. Okay, oh, you just didn't wait 30 seconds. I'm sorry, I bought your video game to play it, not sit there and look at my phone.
Well,
That is not why I play your game.
I've recently had my mind changed by watching an episode of regular show. The episode's called "Rage Against the TV," and so for a while I've been thinking, I hate cryptic solutions. I hate that this stuff can't be figured out on its own. And when I watched this episode of regular show, it reminded me of what Miyazaki said on how he came up with the design philosophy for Dark Souls, where you're stuck in traffic and people are helping you out. And I thought about that a little bit deeper. I thought, well, what if you're having engine trouble? Well, the first thing you think about is, how much is it going to cost to have a mechanic repair it? But what if you ask somebody on the road, someone that actually has experience, and they fix it for you, and you didn't have to pay for anything or use anything against your
Mm,
will? And so I was thinking, like these cryptic solutions, they're designed like this so a community can come together and connect and figure it out.
I
And
do think, yeah, that does have a point, because community was a big part of Dark Souls, and that was
yes.
kind of what, the whole idea of summoning was, Dark. Dark Souls oppressive difficulty is does very much encourage players to say, hey, there is help that you can get. And that's actually one of the things, a lot of the essays that talk about Dark Souls being an allegory for depression. If you feel like you can't beat it, ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool, kind of a cool way to represent that. I don't know if that is the intended interpretation of Dark Souls. Like I said in my video, there is a million and one interpretations of
Yes.
Dark Souls, but I do think that the whole you know we're all in this together mentality really does help. And I think that Dark Souls, if it was easy, doesn't wouldn't that wouldn't be there. Or if everything was obvious, yeah, that in that case, I guess there is some point. But then also you have to think servers go down for games.
Yes.
Dark Souls will not always be there. Not everybody plays on an internet connection, and so that's also worth thinking is like, is some of the content in your game going to be an accessibility issue? Because if people legitimately cannot find it online, or post to message boards or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and they just have an old PS3 that doesn't get messages in game, because they shut down the Dark Souls 1 servers from PS, like the Prepare to Die servers, right?
Oh, they did. I know they shut down Demon Souls. I didn't know they shut down
It might
Dark Souls.
have been just Demon Souls, but I thought DS1's servers were offline.
Oh, they were dealing with hackers for PC.
Yeah, I remember that. I want to see here. Okay, yeah. So the first Dark Souls after that hack, the very first Dark Souls old servers will be down permanently.
Wow.
But remastered is still fine.
Okay.
But yeah, Prepare to Die edition is currently offline. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's
let's say
crazy.
somebody has a PS3 with Prepare to Die edition, and they don't have they don't have access to the internet for whatever reason. Maybe that could be an issue for them. And so I guess there is, you do have a very good point though. I do think that the community and the camaraderie, but yeah, there's sometimes that somebody just can't get out of their car to ask. There's sometimes that somebody can't get out and ask for help with their engine troubles. This
And
is how it goes sometimes.
it was thanks to the community because on Elden Ring I was looking for this key, and it was a very special hunt. I was like, okay, where in the heck is this key? I'm at the door, and I've been looking all over the place, and so I look. There's a sign. I was looking at signs that messages people are leaving around the door, and I'm just looking at it. And I didn't want to search online. I wanted to explore a good chunk of Elden Ring without going online. And
Hmm.
so I finally find a message where someone points in a direction. I'm like, okay, that's something I can work with. So it wasn't really something organically in the game. It's something just something an online community placed into the game. And I don't know, you know what I mean by organically. It's just something set in the
Yeah,
game. If you ever go offline, you'll never see this message. So it's an online integrated message.
yeah, no, organic interactions with games
I still don't
are
understand the. Oh,
very
sorry.
fun. Organic interactions in games, especially in multiplayer or pseudo multiplayer titles, are very very fun. Where things that weren't necessarily intentionally designed, but they end up being more fun
Mm-hmm.
because of it. So yeah, I think that's a good thing.
The game gives you a map, but for some reason I don't really get it because it doesn't really it doesn't tell you where the key is. Because whenever I got the key and then I look back at the map, I'm like, this map doesn't tell you anything. It has like four blue balls on it. Sorry, four
Yeah,
blue spheres.
no man, that's you after the key hunt, blue balls.
Dang it! I always try to avoid saying balls. Like I just say like a circular object or spheres, and here I go just saying it again. Um,
Balls.
so I find the key through online communication, and you know I really wish that alone would have convinced me. Like, oh, I love this cryptic stuff, but this looking deeper into this regular show episode. So have you seen the episode? that I'm referring to?
I don't watch regular show. I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay, I got you.
I
So
know. I'm weird.
regular show is actually one of my favorite shows of all time. It's a really good cartoon, and so these two dudes, one of them's a blue jay, the other one is a raccoon, and they're playing
Yeah.
on this. I think this is taking place in the '90s because they don't have any modern day systems. They're
Mhm.
playing on something that's probably like Super Nintendo, Nintendo, and it's a game called No One Beats the Hammer. And so they're just dogging out on this game, and they finally get to the final boss, and his name is the Hammer. And they try to attack him with basic punches, and nothing's happening. They're like, "Oh my god, this guy's invisible!" And then all of a sudden, their TV kind of craps out, and so they're panicking. And I'm like, you can relate so much with this episode. Especially being a gamer, about the panic of almost getting something, and then something with the TV kind of goes wrong, and they eventually figure out that they have to hit the boss with furniture. The furniture is its weakness. And so they go around and they're trying to find a TV that they can use. And they're asking all their friends, and they're like, "Yeah, we got to the hammer." And their friends like, "Yeah, right. No one gets to the hammer." They're like, "Yeah, we did, and his weakness is furniture." And he's like, "No way!" And they're just going around just, and it's a really good, I think it's a really good metaphor about the good spirit of gaming, the core of what makes gaming special, and that really convinced me that a community of gamers getting together and figuring something out is very special. And I think that's what From Software has brought to us, because you can't play something like God of War Ragnarok and be like, "Oh no, I'm having trouble trying to figure out how to get to the next mission or where to find this item," because the game just basically just points to everything, and God forbid, they keep telling you the solution to puzzles. So it's not like someone's online saying, "Hey, how do you solve this puzzle?" when the NPCs are constantly telling you how to solve it. And so that's why we need games like From Software that brings gamers together to solve something difficult. Because if every game was easy, we won't really have a very interesting community to get ourselves involved with, in my opinion.
I see, because I see the the point and the idea, and I do agree. I think that uh you know more or less enforced community is a good thing
Yeah.
for most games, but uh I don't know. I think there is some points where uh where there does need to be a way to complete the critical path of a game
Hmm.
without being being walled off because you don't have the means to make a Google search, or
Yeah.
because some younger players may have parents that are extra strict and don't let them go online, so they have no way of finding it out.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a good point.
um, and I think that it works really well in From Software's games because of the themes, because of their their structure, how they're laid out. I think it works really well there because that Vast Worlds, and Vast Worlds, they have many places that many secrets can be. But I think that if that was with every game or a lot of games,
Hmm.
it would lead to a lot of unnecessarily frustrations and an
Yeah.
even lower number on that people that have the final achievement thing. Because like we said, we're both adults and we're both getting older, and there are times where we really do not want to spend the next 2 hours trying to figure out where do I go next, what the heck is going on.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh yeah, you didn't see the wall with like a half inch with like the water leaking out of it ever so slightly, that
Hmm.
looked aesthetic. Oh no, that wasn't aesthetic, you got to hit that with a big weapon,
Yeah.
it'll break it down. You're like, I guess. um People that got 4 minutes a week to play video games don't really want to do that. So
Hmm.
um yeah, it makes sense, I think, both ways. I also would say that um we were talking about games and communities, cryptic solutions. There was something that I was like super pumped to mention. It's all right, I'll remember it at the worst time tonight. Middle of the night, I'm gonna shoot out of bed and go, dang it.
Thank you for listening to this podcast clip. If you want to watch more of the podcast, the full podcast is in the link in the description, along with my guest channel name. And if you would like to guest in a future podcast, please contact me and we shall talk so we can discuss many, many topics, more to come. Other than that, have a glorious day.